Hello, YouTube. It's Chosen the Destroyer. We're going to watch a new film theory. I solved the Book of Bill. I haven't watched any of the theory stuff in like a while. And I know that like the Book of Bill came out, and so like it's reawakened the Gravity Falls fandom. And I've forgotten most Gravity Falls everything. So grab your snackies, grab your bevies, let me know what you're eating or drinking down below, and let's get to watching.
Hello, Internet! This time, you're on your own.
Actually, no. No, you're not. Hello, Internet!
And it's like the same channel, right? But like the whole, just the little cutouts with the eyes. I just love that.
Welcome to Film Theory, where that some sunny day is finally here. Yeah, you know what that means. The one-eyed triangular 2D demon Bill Cipher has returned to wreak havoc on the world of Gravity Falls. Well, sort of. If you don't know, Gravity Falls was an animated series on Disney XD created by mystery mastermind and theorist champ Alex Hirsch. The show's about twins Dipper and Mabel Pines, who spent summer vacation with their grunkle Stan in the small town of Gravity Falls, Oregon. Here, they encounter all sorts of mysteries and codes and cryptids, gnomes that kidnap kids, and killer animatronics before they were cool. But most important,
Don't remember the animatronics.
they help defeat Bill Cipher, a demon from the second dimension with godlike powers who was hellbent on conquering the world. This show was built from the ground up for theorizing, something Matt pointed out multiple times throughout his theories and why I've been so excited to cover it. Along with FNAF and the MCU, Gravity Falls was one of the shows that really drove an entire generation of theorists. So when Disney announced the Book of Bill, a new addition to the Gravity Falls canon written by Alex Hirsch himself, I couldn't wait to get my grubby little theorist hands on it.
I remember them doing a lot of just like unique and crazy stuff for Gravity Falls. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like they had like things that you could solve. Like there was like location related things you could solve. There were like hidden Bill Cipher statues you could find based on like clues and like all kinds of stuff. And I don't know how many of that was like Disney did this and how much of it was like fans did this. But it was like a lot. And like I didn't hate that. And also it was like I remember it being a good show. I mean, I don't remember anything because I have bird brain, but like I remember it being a good show and me like enjoying it.
Excuse me. The spirit of Grunkle Stan just kind of possessed me there. See, unlike a lot of other shows from the same period like Adventure Time or Steven Universe, there wasn't a lot of Gravity Falls. It got in, told its story in 2 seasons, and then ended. People
Is he putting an effort out? Well, I mean, like, so this was years ago. So this predates COVID. So like before they became just the kings of mediocrity. And it was like it was one of those shows that were like, we're coming in, we have a set story we want to tell. We need set amount of episodes and seasons to do it. And they were greenlit for all of it, and they were able to get through all of it, and we're just like, cool, we're out. Like we're not extending it. Like they have books or whatever, but they're like, we're not extending it. We're not going to try to like milk more money out of it. We did this. We told the story we wanted to tell, and we're not ruining it further. So bye, which I really appreciate.
Desperately wanted more of it, which is why people are so hyped for this book. It's promised to show us more of this world and its characters, and let me tell you friends, this thing is dense. We learn so much about this world, about its history and lore, secrets about each of our main characters, and about Bill himself. And that's without cracking any of the mysteries and codes inside. You guys have been asking us to cover this book for weeks at this point, and believe me, we've heard you. We've been working on this in the background and wanted to make sure we approached it right. And just to be upfront here, friends, there's a lot here. So much in this book, in the surrounding media and ARG, that there's no way this won't be at least 2 episodes. So today, for this theory, we're just going...
There's an actual spine in the book. Hate that. Hate that for me. Just,
To be looking at the contents of the Book of Bill itself and what it tells us about the future of this franchise. But don't you worry, it tells us a lot about the future of Gravity Falls. The main thing? Well, it's spelled out clearly in this book in bold underlined letters, but Bill Cipher is alive. He survived the events of Weirdmageddon, and that might mean the doom of the entire multiverse. But, well, someone's looking out for us. Shake my hand, friends. It's time to get weird. So probably the first thing we should mention about the Book of Bill is that it canonically originates within the Gravity Falls universe, like the literal physical book itself. It's a tool that Bill uses to psychically link with the reader, and it haunted Ford over in Gravity Falls until he got sick of it and threw it into a dimensional rift left behind by Weirdmageddon. It then ended up in our world, where the reader finds it and is offered a deal by Bill Cipher. Also, just want to say, in the lore and story of this world, Alex Hirsch must have found this book first, and that confirms our previous theory during Matt's retirement party that he was possessed by Bill Cipher. The author blurb on the back of the book sleeve reads, "Hi friends, I'm Alex Hirsch, creator of Gravity Town, and I'm definitely not possessed by a demon right now." And on it goes. Alex then assures us that he's
using my normal human
fine and is not calling out for help. Methinks the author doth protest too much. Regardless, the book is in our world now, and it's literally infecting other books, while also summoning Bill to broker an agreement with us, let's say. Yeah, he offers us a deal. He'll tell us all about his backstory, but in exchange, we'll owe him a favor somewhere down the road. It's at this point that we're given a choice to say yes or no. And
hard no on owing a random book demon a favor. No, thank you.
Excited. I thought this was going to be one of those awesome sort of choose-your-own-adventure books, so naturally, as someone aware of Bill's shenanigans, I said no and flipped to the page it specified, and, well, there was some very small text upside down on the top of the page. It basically told me that not shaking Bill's hand meant that I was going to live out the rest of my life in the most boring way possible. As a middle manager at a mustard factory in Idaho with 4 children, Gervis, Horvin, Borley, and Smunt. Poor...
Smunt, huh? No, I wouldn't make a deal with the devil. Or at least not this one. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I'm gonna go be a manager at a mustard factory. Listen, factory jobs can make good money. So, you know.
Poor Smunt. On the real, I am absolutely the sort of person that would name like a cat Smunt, and I apologize to my future cat because, well, your name is Smunt. No. Okay, so it really seems like if we want all of the new, juicy lore in this book, we need to agree to Bill's terms. And hey, well, I've sold my soul for less. We agreed to this deal, and whoa! In one of the coolest bits of meta storytelling I've ever seen in this sort of product, Bill starts laughing maniacally and literally rips his way through the book into our reality. Honestly, it's really slick stuff and a bit terrifying, and though you might expect Bill to immediately kill us here and move on, nah, he doesn't. He actually keeps up his end of the bargain.
Is it like multiple pages? How's that work?
And then some. As you can imagine, diving into the Book of Bill has taken a ton of my time that I only have thanks to the sponsor for today's episode, Incogni. How many times has this happened to you? You sign up for a store's loyalty program or a free newsletter, and all of a sudden your phone is bombarded with a bunch of spam calls and random texts, and dude, leave me alone. How did you even get my number? Did Bill Cipher leak it? Bill, did you leak it? Well, one reason that these sorts of spam messages can happen is because mega corporations can't keep their customers' information from getting hacked. And then other companies will buy, sell, or trade your information.
The amount of time I get like a spam text message or a spam motherfucking call while I'm asleep, because I sleep at weird times. Like I sleep when everybody else is awake. Like it's so annoying.
Like trading cards. There are literally thousands of data brokers collecting and trading your personal information without your knowledge or consent. Everything from your full name and address to your cell phone and social security numbers. Thankfully, you can request that these data brokers delete your information, and
you, I guess, scan it with your phone, and you see it come out of the book, I guess? That's interesting.
So trying to clear them all one by one is going to become a never-ending battle. That's where Incogni comes in clutch. They're like my own little Waddles, who I've sent off on my behalf to go tell these data brokers to remove my data for me, saving me hours of my life, like literally. We've actually partnered with Incogni before, and I personally use the service. The last time I checked in with them in May, they'd saved me 86 hours by doing all of this work for me. But checking in again now, just a few months later, they've saved me over 100 more hours of work. Yeah, really. That time saved has jumped all the way up to almost 190. That's enough time to binge Gravity Falls like another 4 times over. So if you want to keep your...
I hate it because, like, with a lot of spam calls, you can hear when they start recording or something. There's like a little pause and like a noise. Like there's a specific noise. And you hear a little bit of like static. And I'm just like, God damn it.
Personal and private information? Well, personal and private, go to incogni.com/filmtheory and use the code filmtheory to get 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Again, that's incogni.com/FILMTHEORY, or if you prefer, you can click the link in the description and use the code filmtheory to get 60% off that annual plan. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring this episode, and now let's reopen the pages of the Book of Bill. At this point, the content of the book becomes super varied, bouncing between sections that look like magazines, Q&As with Bill about the concept.
Y'all know. I gotta read
Super
it.
varied, bouncing between...
I lost weight by removing my skin! Oh, good. A baby in a briefcase? You can eat both. Live, laugh, let me into your dimension. Burning calories and galaxies. 7 new sins. Feeling obtuse? Get it cute for the summer. All right. Oh my God, I just noticed this teacup has teeth. I hate that.
That look like magazines, Q&As with Bill about the concept of love.
Bill, have you ever been in love? Sure, tell your mom hi for me. By the way, have you taken a DNA test recently? Not asking for any particular reason.
A how-to guide on how to get into heaven. It's mysteriously left blank, so immediately you get what Bill thinks about that idea. There are tons of hidden codes that you'll need to decipher if you want the whole story, and there's even just straight-up excerpts ripped from a book called The Great Gatsby. This was a novel by...
I'm fine.
Excerpts ripped from a book called The Great Gatsby. This was a novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald that everybody had to read in like the 7th grade, which just entered the public
I feel like it was high school, actually.
domain a couple of years ago, so hey, why not? It's still weird, but why not? But a couple of my favorite sections? Well, first off, there's a whole section talking about urban legends.
Oh, I hate this. Oh no.
And cryptids that look like they're ripped straight out of some analog horror here on YouTube. There's Slender Man, who lies about people. Guillermo del Torso, who has a passion for cinema and has written a script for National Treasure 4. The Off Model, which is a monster that looks like bootleg IP and would just like legitimately be a good monster for this sort of analog horror. Can we make that? And the Mirror Dimension that contains monsters like Bloody Mary, Dysmorphio, and David Lynch. Yes, as
David
film
Lynch.
director David Lynch. I am losing my gosh dang mind because this is hilarious and exactly the sort of humor just made for me. Then there's a whole section about the concept of morality, which Bill believes is 100% flexible and that karma is a scam. He's immediately hit in the eye by a paper airplane after he says that, so I mean, you be the judge of whether or not he's right. That's funny, but the whole reason that I'm pointing this out is that he gives us, the reader, a moral test here. On this page, he's imprisoned an elf named Scrimbles with bones made of glass. If we turn the page and continue on our journey to learn all about the new lore, we'll crush Scrimbles and he'll die. That's hilariously dark and, well, I mean, sorry Scrimbles, there's lore to uncover. Forgive me. We also get some new lore about the Pines family.
Having bones made of glass would be just terrible.
There's a whole section dedicated to the missing pages of Journal 3
F
and
in the
Ford's
chat for
earliest
Scrimbles.
interactions with Bill, and another where Bill talks about the dreams of many of the main characters, including Dipper. Bill explains that Dipper has a recurring nightmare about overhearing a fight between his parents that he wasn't supposed to hear, before wondering why Dipper and Mabel got sent to Gravity Falls for the summer on such short notice. Yeah, that's pretty dark, implying that this whole series only exists because their marriage was falling apart.
Damn.
The parents needed Dipper and Mabel out of the house while they worked out what to do. Ouch,
Damn.
that one hits right in the feels. But okay, that was a lot of the fun, if weird.
Hey, guys, go hang out in the woods so we can figure out a divorce. Like, damn.
Weird and dark stuff here in the book. What's the real meat and potatoes, though? Where's the real lore? Well, again, true to his word,
I love meat and potatoes.
Bill tells us exactly where he comes from. Bill explains that he's from a world called Euclidia, where no one could comprehend the third dimension, but he was born with a mutation that lets him see into the third dimension. This was apparently cursed and forbidden knowledge. Bill claims that talking about the third dimension was illegal in his world. Despite this, Bill still wanted to share the truth with the rest of his people, but, well, we're not sure what happened, and neither is Bill. He says that he heard a loud buzzing and that he blacked out, and that he still does whenever he thinks about this, but when he came to, no one was alive in his universe except for him. He killed them all. Now, in this very explanation, Bill said
he like had a breakdown or something. He had like a mental break and murdered everybody.
Says that he's not some misunderstood character that can be humanized by a tragic backstory, but I'm not so sure about that. Like, don't get me wrong.
Anyway, yeah, like murder, blackout.
Bill is a bad guy, an awful person, and definitely a villain, but I'm not so sure he ended up that way all on his own. At the beginning of this section, we see Bill bursting through a wall behind a TV with a strange symbol on it. Well, this is actually from the cover of a story called Flatland, written by Edwin Abbott Abbott. In Flatland, a two-dimensional square is visited by a three-dimensional sphere, who teaches him to look outside of his perspective. And once the square learns about the third dimension, he tries to convince his fellow 2D shapes, but is jailed for what is considered madness. Perhaps something similar happened here with Bill, with some multi-dimensional being enlightening Bill and sending him down his villainous path. Regardless, the result is the same. Bill ended up killing everyone in Euclidia and moved on to a new universe. From here, Bill found himself in the Nightmare Dimension, where he formed a band of ne'er-do-wells called the Henchmaniacs to help him get up to all sorts of shenanigans. We actually know most of these characters from the actual show. For 1 trillion years, they robbed banks together, crashed planets together to make them kiss, conquered dynasties, and even recorded a Christmas album. But not all good things can last. Eventually, the Nightmare Realm came apart at the seams as entropy caught up with the universe and destroyed it. Bill then ended up in the series from the universe and was drawn to the area that would someday become Gravity Falls, where he met a shaman who created the prophecy of the 10 cosmic symbols from the series and banished Bill from the area. From here, Bill traveled the world and encountered different societies, the Aztecs and the Egyptians and the indigenous people of Easter Island. He also explains that Atlantis was real and apparently existed around the time of King Henry VIII. Seems like a major lore drop there, and I really want to know the implications of the whole world just like forgetting Atlantis was a thing, where it was, and how it sank.
Like, I find it wild how much they put, like, they're using, like, The Great Gatsby, which I can understand because, like, again, that is something that, like, everyone who went to a public school read in, like, either late middle school or early high school. T'Challa, hello, I hear you. Cat's meowing at me, sorry. So, like, I understand that, but, like, stuff like that other story with the cube and the sphere and, like, or the square and the sphere. Like, that's, first of all, that's crazy that's crazy knowledge that exists, I guess. But, like, all of this is just a lot. The amount of effort they put into this is staggering to me.
Forwarding past the events of Gravity Falls and Weirdmageddon, it's revealed that Bill did in fact survive being erased along with Stan's memories. He made a deal with the great Axolotl, who promised to let Bill live if he could overcome his greatest trial. The most dangerous thing Bill could possibly face: therapy. Yeah, really, the Axolotl sends Bill to a dimension outside of time called the Theraprism, where he has to make up for all of his cosmic crimes.
Oh my god.
Goes around, comes around, huh? Regardless, this book is actually a project that Bill is working on while in therapy, and he smuggled it out of the Theraprism and into our reality against the rules of the institution. But Bill signs off the book by promising that someday he will get out. someone will let him out, and we might have an idea just to who that is. At the very, very end of the book, I'm talking like the last couple pages, we see a picture of the Bill Cipher statue in the woods from the end of the series. However, if we turn the page, we see that same statue again, but its eye has started glowing. Why would the statue suddenly come to life here? Well, zoom in and look at his hand. A bird is perching on it. Has this bird shaken Bill's hand and unwittingly agreed to become his new host just by looking for a place to land? Maybe, yeah. In the days leading up to the Book of Bill's release, a Twitter account called the Oregon Parks Department opened as a viral marketing campaign and included pictures of a bird known as the Western Meadowlark. Look at this thing. This is a real bird that is the spitting image of Bill Cipher. The yellow chest even has a little black top hat shape at the top. This little birdie might have just given Bill Cipher the wings he needed to fly out of the Theraprism and back into the world
I feel like that's
of
a little
Gravity
much,
Falls
but you know.
once again. So yeah, that's the story of the Book of Bill, and a small hint to where things might be going. But that's just the topmost layer. We've already touched on a few of them, but this book is packed with additional secrets hidden if you read between the lines, and codes to crack that let us know so much more about this world. For instance, the Book of Bill confirms that there's a Gravity Fall multiverse in play here. In the Parallel Dimensions section, Bill points out just how improbable.
Well, Scrimbles is dead. It had to happen. Trust me, we were doing the guy a favor. Once you get one book elf, soon there's more. Eating all your commas and drinking your page gloss.
Full multiverse in play here. In the Parallel Dimensions section, Bill points out just how improbable it was that Dipper and Mabel survived all of the events of the show without getting erased, drowned.
They don't consider for a single moment the sheer improbability that they get to exist in the one timeline where they kept all of their bodily organs out of the infinite timelines where they were erased, shattered, drowned, frozen, or dismembered before they can make it to 13. Wow. But I guarantee you that they're less likely dimensional duplicates. Think about them all the time. Maybe one day all these parallel pines will get the chance to meet up face to face.
Frozen, or dismembered, but that's only because we're in the only timeline where that didn't happen. Yeah, in basically every other one, Dipper and Mabel die horrible deaths at the hands of all the freaky stuff from the series. What's more, the entirety of this multiverse is actually contained within a Pokemon card, like literally a Pokemon card in the backpack of an unfathomable being outside of time named Dennis. Considering
Ayo, Dennis!
that our universe is part of this Gravity Falls multiverse, that means that we too are part of this Pokemon card. And it's not even shadowless. That's tragic. Oh, and speaking
I don't know what shadowless means with Pokemon.
On this page explaining the Pokemon card multiverse, if you look closely, you'll see a series of symbols running down the side of the card. This is obviously a cipher, and when you decode it, it reads, "Warning, folding this card may result in crossovers." That, in and of itself, is a fun nod to the amount of multiversal crossovers we've gotten in the past few years, but there's actually a lot of crossovers hidden in this very book that create a really wide Disney cartoon cinematic universe. For instance, a Titan skull from the Owl House, another series that Alex Hirsch worked on, can be found in this section about the Dark Ages, while there's another rune cipher in that same section that translates to Titan blood. Later on, the Core's helmet from Amphibia can be seen in the Theraprism alongside Bill. And finally, early on in the Bill Tells All section, Bill is asked if he's the biological father of Phineas from Phineas and Ferb before ending the interview. Phineas's triangle head suddenly makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Regardless, all of this alongside Matt's previous theory that Rick and Morty also takes place in this same multiverse really means that there's a giant web of animation that's all connected here. Might just need to do a theory about that sometime, huh? Now, a lot of the hidden codes and mysteries in here are fun, like this Pokemon card connection, but others, well, not so much.
All that is, was, or ever will be.
Some of them are crazy complicated and hint at a darker story for Bill, one filled with regret and sorrow. For example, there's a code hidden in one of the pages in the Barnes & Noble edition of the book. Yeah, if you didn't know, Barnes & Noble had an exclusive version of the Book of Bill which had additional content, something that none of us here at Theorist realized until we'd already gotten our copies off of Amazon. Thank God for overnight shipping. Regardless, in the messages on your TV section in the Barnes & Noble edition, at the very bottom of the page, you'll notice a series of square color blocks. At the very bottom of the
Have you ever listened? I mean, really listen to the static in your TV. No one believes me on this one, but there's something going on in there. Hold your ear up to the monitor, flip between the stations, wait for the noise to become deafening. Listen, do you hear
page, you'll notice a series of square color blocks. At first, I thought this was just a weird, glitchy effect to really drive home the analog nature of this page with the scan lines and chromatic aberration and all the VHS goodness. But there's actually a pattern to these colors. Yeah, they correspond to letters of the alphabet.
Oh my
and if you
God.
decode the right order, it spells out the message: he never sleeps, he never dreams, but somehow still he hears their screams. This has to be about
Okay.
Bill. He isn't sleeping or dreaming, but he's still haunted by the screams of everyone he's killed. This is further driven home on the page covered in silly straws. There's a line of digits that all correspond
Once you kill with one of these, it becomes a serious straw.
with episodes of Gravity Falls and time codes within them. And when the words spoken at these time codes are all strung together, we get this message.
Twisted out of shape after them kill the ghosts of his family. Haunting him still.
If that was a bit hard to follow, it says, twisted out of shape after the kill, the ghosts of his family are haunting him still. The memory of his parents, his original homeworld, are still haunting Bill, even after all these trillions of years. Also, we actually learn the name of his parents through another code in this book, and this has to be one of the most creative ciphers that I've ever encountered in my time here at Theorist. On the codes page, despite Bill insisting that there are no codes in this book, you'll notice a ring of letters carved into the tree here on this page. That might seem a bit random at first, but these letters line up perfectly with something else in the book. All throughout the pages, sometimes there are coffee ring stains that are a perfect size to fit inside this ring of letters. And there are gaps in the rings that line up with individual letters. And not only that, but there are other stains, little dots around the gaps that tell us the order of the letters here. If you spell out all of the letters from the rings and put them in the correct order here, it makes a new message that reads, "His dimension now deceased, Scalene in Euclid, rest in peace."
Y'all, the amount of thought that went into this book and ciphers and stuff. People that just sit around and like, I'm going to fix all these ciphers, or I'm going to create ciphers or whatever, is wild to me. How does your brain do that? Because my brain is just like, it's nap time, you want food. Like, that's it. Like, dang, that is so much effort. Like, I'm not... Like, it's really amazing, but it is so much. Like, dang. Holy hell, I'm too stupid for... I'm also too stupid for the... Like, I'm just like, damn.
A scalene is a type of triangle with sides and angles of all different lengths and degrees, while Euclid was an ancient Greek mathematician with expertise in geometry. These are the names of Bill's parents, the ones that still haunt his dreams, the ones who he can still hear the screams of. That is so dark and so cool, and one of the best puzzles I've ever encountered in a book like this. Seriously, a clap and a half for Alex here. But for as cool as that is, something's weird here, right? A lot of the codes in this book are written by Bill himself, and you can tell when they are. He has his own very specific way of speaking and his own rune cipher that is consistent for his character, but a lot of these, they don't sound like Bill, or they're talking about Bill. No, someone else is writing codes in here, and there are a few options.
Sorry, hold on. Listen. I saw mechanical wife and I was like, okay. And then right above that, my hole could be yours. Sorry. My brain. So hurry before it's too late. This hole could be yours. Large men need not apply. Hold on.
But a lot of these, they don't sound like Bill, or they're talking...
Okay, the clangor of the city, the bleeding of the children. Is there no relief from the machinations of modern life? Lamenters lament no longer. I have dug a hole in the forest just 4 miles from the city, where the modern man can enter and no relief. Quiet, dark, and peaceful, a hole will snugly surround your entire body. In the blackness of the earth where sound cannot enter or escape. Even the most robust screams will be inaudible from the comfort of a hole. The perfect vacation destination for the man in need of some time away from his miserable obligations. The hole fits one man at a time, so hurry before it is too late. This hole could be yours. Large men need not apply.
About Bill. No, someone else is writing codes in here,
Oh my
and
God.
there are a few options, and who it is might end up being very important if Bill is truly coming back through that bird. First option? Well, the clear and obvious choice would be the axolotl. He's already shown to be more powerful than Bill, enough to put him in therapy, so maybe he's trying to help Bill work through some stuff here. But that's also the most obvious option and the most boring. The
Why would
second
he do
and
it, though?
less obvious option? Well, it could be the people that he's possessed over the years. Yeah, for real. We learn in the book that Bill isn't alone inside of his head. At the bottom of the page about skin, there's
Oh, found it on the sidewalk. It's here now.
a section that gets cut off called Learning is Fun, but it's not what you'd expect. Instead of more factoids about skin, we're shown a cry for help from someone named Grebly Himberdrek of Zimtrex 5, one of thousands of souls that Bill has consumed over the years. It's not entirely clear how this would happen, but I think it's a pretty safe guess to say that these souls Bill consumed were the people that he's made deals with, and now they're stuck inside of Bill's mind, where he plays good vibes.
Good vibe. So he's basically made himself like a... He basically has DID. He's made himself a system, basically.
Vibrations by Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch on loop forever. That's actor Mark Wahlberg's previous career, by the way. Yes, he was a rapper, really. This also tells me that Alex Hirsch and I have a very similar sense of humor, because I died laughing when I read this and immediately went and listened to the song. As a wise man once said, I want to get mine, so get yours. I want to see sweat coming out your pores. Regardless, we see here that one of these characters was able to take the wheel away from Bill enough to write this blurb. Perhaps they're also writing these secret codes and will help us fight Bill when he comes back. Or maybe the fight will be way more personal, with option number 3, Bill's ex-girlfriend. All throughout the book, Bill makes a point to avoid any questions about his own romantic history in the love
Okay, but like, you gotta be crushing on someone. I will light this book on fire.
section, he redacts a couple of lines before exclaiming that his ex-partners were not relevant because I don't have any. Yeah, sure, Bill, sure. Later, while introducing his crew of henchmaniacs, one of them is completely scribbled out in red marker with a big label saying, not important. If you look through the red marker, you can barely make out that this character's name is Jessie, and her art looks like she has a lot of eyes, maybe 7 of them. If that doesn't mean anything to you, fair, but if you devoured Journal 3 when it released like we here at Theorists did, you'll recognize that this character looks and sounds a lot like a character known as the Oracle. This is a 7-eyed woman named Jesselbrom the Unswerving, a name that could easily be shortened to Jessie, a character that Bill clearly doesn't want us to think about because she is his ex-girlfriend. That would explain why Jessie didn't show up in Weirdmageddon, if she and Bill broke up on bad terms enough so that Bill wants to scrub her out of his own history. Yeah, she wouldn't want to show up for that. Maybe she's the one who is writing these codes about Bill's regrets, something that she would know as his ex-partner, trying to help us find a way to beat him in the future. To me, that is the most exciting option, Jessie coming back and trying to help defeat her evil ex once and for all. But we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, all in all, that's the story and the codes hidden in the Book of Bill. It's a lot, and there are puzzles and ciphers here that go even deeper, and weird choices that might not make a lot of sense if you read this book with zero context. Like, for real, I mentioned this earlier, but there are just straight up several pages ripped from The Great Gatsby republished in here. Strange, right? Well, there was a reason for that. One that starts us down a whole new rabbit hole. Let me explain. After we accept Bill's offer at the beginning of the book, it sort of resets, and we're given a new cover and a new page full of all the publishing information of the book. All of this information is now themed around Bill, and at the bottom of the page, we're encouraged to visit thisisnotawebsite.com
Certified good.
.com. If you did that early on, like right after the book was released, you were asked for a password. What was this password? Well, early on in the book, we're given the one true intelligence test, and one of the puzzles just looked like a bunch of random lines and squiggles. And if you look physically at this image at an extreme angle, the lines form into words and gives you this message. Need a password? Fine, I'll talk. It's the name of the eyeball doc. And guess what? The pages of The Great Gatsby talk about the eyeball doctor, T.J. Eckelberg. Type T.J. Eckelberg into the website and bam, a whole new world is opened up for us to explore. Now, this theory is already long. I wish we could dive into this whole new part of the ARG today, but we just don't have time. I can literally hear our editors angry at me because this video is already longer than 20 minutes. But this is me promising you right now that we are going to do a second theory all about thisisnotawebsite.com as soon as we can. And just like the Book of Bill tells us so much about the future story of the Gravity Falls universe, I think this ARG is telling us exactly how Alex Hirsch and Disney are planning on doing it. So please subscribe for that theory coming really soon because it's gonna be weird, y'all. But until then, remember that it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut. And if you want another Gravity Falls theory right now? Check out our video about how Alex Hirsch is literally possessed by Bill Cipher himself.
So, that is a lot. That is so much. I feel like maybe Disney kind of gave Alex Hirsch a lot of creative control. Basically they were like, here's some money. Here's some standards or some things that you can or cannot do or whatever. Go. And they didn't meddle as much, I guess is what I should say. And similar stuff happened with Deadpool and Wolverine, I think. They've been in interviews where they were basically we wrote the script, we kept having to give the script to Disney. They only scrubbed one joke. We apparently they apparently had a lot of creative control on what they were doing and how and stuff like that. And I feel like they gave Alex the same amount or similar kind of stuff in regards to Gravity Falls. And I feel like that's kind of what you should do to a point. But that's why it's good. And also it's older, so because I'm not lying when I'm man, everything Disney's been making lately has been just very mediocre.